What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Bagel's channel for trading update and analysis. There's so much data and so many different opportunities we want to share with you today. And once again, if you do enjoy today's content, please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel because every day there's so many things we want to share with you guys that you don't want to miss. Now, without any further ado, let's get going to it. So we say it every day. I'll say it again. I'll continue to do this for all the future videos because every day you need to make sure you have your SPY, QQQ, and also the futures market and also the VIX on your chart because these are your prime evidence that will tell you exactly what's going on in the market, what has happened, and what will continue to happen in the future. Now, we obviously knew that 20 weekly moving average had served as a very good support in the last 2 years or so, aside from, there was one exception that due to the Japanese yen carry trade, we opened gap down below 20 weekly moving average, but we were able to close above it at the end of the week. Now, is the same thing going to happen again this time? If it does, that's very bullish. If it doesn't, that can get pretty sour pretty quick, right? Because you can obviously on the SPY, we are in a downward channel, and CPI is gonna be determining how we go from here before the end of the week. Now, we of course know how it looks on the weekly. Let's see how it looks on the daily, right? We obviously made higher high and higher low because look, it was your A plus kind of opportunity to really go long on Monday session because we gapped down and we just exactly opened at the market bias, right? This is at the very bottom of this green area on the daily. So how do we close during our previous session? Higher highs and higher lows, lots of volume. BX trender kind of turned, so that I wouldn't say that is a cause for concern because right now the market is kind of on edge. The CPI data is going to tell you exactly what might happen after market open. And there are so many things that had happened in the last 2 days. We obviously knew that PPI number was pretty good. Market had a positive reaction to it. However, as I was watching NASDAQ future the whole day. So let me just remove this Fibonacci so you can see better. On hourly, so we were on a downward channel. We just continued to break to a new low. And then we obviously found very nice support. Again, we try to defend the market bias on the SPY. And of course, that's very highly correlated with QQQ as well. So we went up. And the most dramatic thing I've seen in the market was that after PPI was released, right, you can see before PPI came out, the market was in a downward and we broke the previous low on this very candle here. And the volume has been on the increase. And then CPI came along, we went up, but we found very strong resistance at the previous level. You see, for this to be considered as bullish, we had to take out this previous resistance. And more importantly, we want to get above this moving average. Try one time, failed, big sell after PPI. Market was still not able to take it any further down, and we just went down from there. But we have found support right over here because the VIX, the VIX is in a nowhere land. We don't know what's it gonna do because this is not a big drop on the VIX. If it gets below like 16, sure, we can kind of, you know, go out on a limb and say, hey, the market is thinking and expecting that CPI number is gonna be great, so the VIX is taking a breather before the main event. Sure, but this doesn't look like it, right? This looks like the VIX doesn't know where he wants to go. It's still holding, it's not dropping, it's not going up. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And associated with what we just saw on the VIX, obviously the future doesn't know where it wants to go either, because we don't want to break to the upside to confirm a bottom on this market. We also don't want to break to the downside just in case CPI number is really, really good and appealing. So where do we go from here? If you want to gamble on CPI, that's your choice. Good luck to you. But I wouldn't do it, just because, you know, even if you do, please make sure you have your hedge. Um, buying some puts. I'm pretty sure puts are pretty expensive at this point because market has really been uh, taking a hit. So there's a lot of puts in the market. Buying puts maybe even more expensive than selling calls. I wanted to point out semiconductors, because semiconductor has been very interesting. Like, just disregard this trend line right here. What do you see here? It is very closely correlated with SPY. We gap down open, we defended this, and then we closed even better than the SPY because we had lower volume compared to the one previously, versus SPY actually had higher selling pressure, right? And it's not just SMH. All the semi names are looking pretty nice. I've entered a very light position on Qualcomm. Let me just remove the Fibonacci. Obviously, higher high and higher lows. Um, when you see this kind of volume, please don't think that, hey, there's been a lot of sellers, because I can assure you that there's been more buyers than sellers. And obviously BX Trender turned green, and we had already got a cross for MACD. This is obviously higher highs and higher lows. If you want to go long here, I think it can be pretty good. We of course have that very strong resistance around the $165 level. Breaking this would invalidate this kind of trade. What I wanted to point out with you guys is that as I was seeing this, obviously gap up, open pretty big, and then we sold. And then during that hour, I don't know what happened, all the names took a dive. Aside from Arista Networks, and I think also Caterpillar was holding very nicely. And during the last half an hour, look at this volume, 61K, and that was 50K, right? And like, even going over to 5 minute, you can already very easily see this is like all the charts were basically looking like this in the previous session, like MicroStrategy and all these names took a dive, and then we obviously found support here. This is your ultimate support kind of signal. Don't make any trade at the open. Wait for the price to develop. Okay, this is obviously good profit taking. We want to time the bottom. It's hard to do it, but just make sure that we are not taking out the previous low. And then we make a high and we went down to retest this market bias. We went up. Now it's, we really want to see, are there still any sellers in the market? Look at this uh, tiny red candle. That is to tell you that, okay, the bears have capitulated. We are now ready to take it higher. And sure enough, it did, right? And it's not just Qualcomm, ARM, like even AMD. Yeah, people are calling it advanced money destroyer these days. Yeah, ARM has a pretty much, yeah, maybe not as strong as Qualcomm at the end of the session, but still looking pretty nice, right? We gap up, and yeah, but ARM definitely has that strong resistance above that could potentially be broken after a good CPI number. We close above $140. That's a really good sign. And I think at this stage, AMD and Nvidia are so closely correlated. I kind of wanted to point this out because we obviously made a new low after breaking a like century long kind of trend line. We broke, we found support, the buying is not strong enough, but I mean, this is not like a double bottom or anything, but we are defending the same level just below $114.50. We buy up, gap up, open, we sold down, we still found support at this very same level, right? And the volume has been, the selling volume has not been that strong for the previous session. And of course, BX Trender is still, it's not looking great, but this could be your initial sign of, AMD coming back to life. Because this is where I might enter position, even though it looks really, really bad. But the rationale for opening a position here would be a proper risk reward, because your stop loss can be at this level, right? $113. Everyone's on the internet talking about AMD at $110 would be a dream. You can potentially aim for 100% gain in 2025. Well, what if it doesn't get to $110, right? Right now, I see pretty good risk reward, and potentially your profit taking can be right here at the 20 days moving average around $124, right? That's like 1 2 3 kind of risk reward. Why shouldn't you take it, right? But right now it doesn't look good. It has it has kind of found some support around these levels. If the market is really, really good, I can see this resistance at $118.60 gets taken, and potentially closing above $120 for the week. And also wanted to talk about Snowflake. It was one of the day trade I took. Um, because right here, what do you see? Honestly, I don't see anything, because if you're moving over to weekly, right? That was a pretty nasty sell, but also found a lot of buying over here as well, right? Higher highs and higher lows. And this week we made another higher highs and higher lows. So what really happened? Moving over to hourly, let me just remove that. Fibonacci has been, yeah, my previous level for profit taking. We don't really know what's gonna happen. It has just been like consolidating. It looks like a short, it looks like a long, but of course, if it breaks this level, it would be a short. Breaks this level, it would be a long, right? And so this is still looking pretty nice. Like if you really pay attention, this like went up, higher high, defending higher low. Don't know what it wants to do. Sure enough, we break off. This is a upward channel on Snowflake. All right, because we open gap up and then continue to ramp, right? And then we sell down. Obviously, this candle matter because it is on the decreasing side when it comes to volume. So on hourly, I see Snowflake being very, very nice. Moving over to 2 hours, you can see that even more clearly, but a bad CPI can still break this structure. Okay, and Snowflake obviously on the daily it is very, very nice, right? This resistance has been taken out, the trend line has been taken out, this short-term trend line also has been taken out. So Snowflake, very bullish. Right now we are way above 20 days moving average. I think as long as we don't break this trend line, we should be okay, right? One of the stronger names during the session, and also Arista Networks. You see, we broke the previous low over here. We opened below 20 days moving average, but we closed above 20 days moving average on the very same day. So is that good sign for going long? I would say so. However, we always want to be moving over to a different time frame to get a better picture of what we are seeing here. After making all-time high, down and up, and found resistance, and down again, made another low and up again. If you're looking at 2 hours, you can see very easily. I know it doesn't really follow any moving average here. However, this is higher high, a lower high and lower lows, and a very nasty reject on the 2 hour moving average, and then open gap down, and we came back up. So this is where things gets interesting. I think right now Arista Networks is full on bullish just because it also break this trend line over here. But One thing I wanted to point out, I was looking at this from a different angle on 15-minute time frame. We went up, we sold very strong volume. Okay, that is not normal because usually the first 15 minutes is with the most volume after market open. This is telling you people are trying to get out. Went back up, weaker volume, and then you can just short it because obviously we saw it on 2 hour time frame. This could be such an easy short. But look at this. What is this? This is gap filled, right? And not only that, this was somehow it doesn't show, but this was also one of the major Fibonacci level. And you saw over here at that time, this was much weaker than the rest of the names in the market. However, ever since we found this gap fill up and very weak selling, you already know, okay, Arista Networks is ready to come back. Even at the very beginning during the session, it was kind of indecisive. It didn't really know what it wanted to do. You can argue and say, yeah, it wants to go down based on 2 hour time frame, but there's gonna be strong buying demand down there, right? Because even right here, you see all this green candle with very good volume, and then gap fill went up from there, right? So a lot of names are actually very interesting right now, and CPI will ultimately decide where market will go next. Right now, semiconductor looking really, really good. Like even Applied Material had pretty much the same setup as Qualcomm, but Qualcomm, over the larger time frame, I think it looks a little bit better than Applied Materials. Right now, the VIX doesn't know where it wants to go. The SPY doesn't know where it wants to go. We'll have to rely on the reaction to CPI data. And of course, Semi is looking very nice, ready to make a comeback. And also Snowflake and Arista Networks are looking pretty nice as well. Yeah, also wanted to bring this up with Caterpillar because Caterpillar has been monster. Of course, we shorted this name on the way down, but now it is looking very bullish, right? This is kind of like a double bottom that it doesn't want to go down anymore. And very strong session on Monday. We went up and very nice confirmation to tell you that there's no more selling in this market, right? Any dip is getting bought up, right? So short, and then comes Tuesday, very weak selling. We just took off from there, right? A trend doesn't start with a day, but I mean, a day is not a trend, but the trend starts with a day. So this is early sign of a maybe week, multi-week uptrend, because usually an uptrend does look like this, right? And then you have your cross on the hourly moving average. We take off from there, and then another dip. If it gets bought up again, this can have a third wave and even the fourth wave, potentially even going over to $400. Who knows? But Caterpillar looking as strong as ever. Definitely one of the plays you want to take. And also, um, for industrial sector, it is looking like it has some, it has found some kind of support in the short term. And of course, we gap down open to retest that 200 days moving average and went above it and way above it, even above 20 days moving average, right? So big money are coming into this market to pick up Caterpillar. Just some interesting information for you to know as well. I think at this point, Caterpillar also provide very nice risk reward if you want to go long in this market. So that's it from me. And once again, this is not any financial advice. You're trading on your own risk. I'm just providing you with what I'm seeing in the market. Please make sure you do whatever is comfortable and manage your own risk accordingly. And yeah, so that's a wrap. Happy trading, guys. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, have a good day. Bye.